basically, obviously, evolution is still a theory. It's not fact or anything like that. But there are a lot of things that make it close to like 99% fact in that sense. But it's like their genes, right? You know how animals evolve and so forth, and so we evolve from ultimately from a single cell organism and so forth. Then we go into apes or whatever, or Neanderthals or whatever, or Homo sapiens. So we're up the trees and stuff like that, and then we're crawling on the ground. We went upright, but then we eventually went upright, and the body changed. So then we're able to walk upright because, you know, chimpanzees, they can walk upright, but it's not natural. They have to walk on the ground. So they have to, like a baby, sort of crawl.
Yeah.
In that sense, because their body is designed for that, in not upright walking. So that's why we do get bad backs, because even though we do have the spine for it, ultimately the body has, you know, back in ancient days, you know, when we first sort of existed, we were meant to be walking on all fours, because that's why you find when you get a sore back or whatever, it's a lot easier to walk, to crawl, or whatever, because it's the natural posture of the human body.
Okay.
Yeah. So look it up. Check your doctor. But you check Wikipedia or something. But yeah. So that's that. But anyway, so I'm just thinking that it's like, okay, so why do animals evolve certain things so they can actually survive in the world and so forth, and, you know, survival of the fittest? And if they don't develop those things, they will not survive, and that gene pool dies out. So I'm just thinking that just like a soul, basically, it passes things on. It learns from one life to the next, and so that's why animals are able to, via generations, pass on certain things in advance. So whereas previously they go, okay, that way really didn't work for us, so we need to develop a way to protect ourselves. And so through generations, the animal slowly develops a way to better adapt to its environment, and so then it's able to succeed. Whereas the animals that don't, that are slower to adapt or whatever, then they obviously die out in that sense.
So where does spirituality stand? If you're talking about evolution in itself, right, and we're going from apes or whatever microorganism into humans, like where does spirituality come into that? And where does, not specifically religion, but the creation, where does creation sit in with you? What do you think about that?
Okay. Well, I don't believe in creation like in the Bible or anything like that. But like Garden of Eden and stuff like that, I reckon it's a bit of BS, to be honest. But
you don't think it existed?
No. I was raised Catholic, so I'm not totally, like, I'm agnostic, so, and people are probably going to hate that because it's like, pick a side, you know, you're either atheist or you believe. It's like, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not so sure about things at the moment. So basically, I'm like, I just can't know some things. There are some things I just can't know. So agnostic in that thought, that belief. I do believe in there being some sort of God entity in that sense, like not the God like in the Bible, but God as far as, like, it even says it in the Bible. It's like, it says the kingdom of God or something like that is within. So I think that we're all sort of mini gods in a sense of that, it's like when people actually concentrate on doing something, like, look, just example, Elon Musk. It's like up until a decade ago, there was no such thing as a rocket that would land on a mobile barge in the middle of the Atlantic. Now he actually did that, and he's basically can reuse the rockets. So, and he's created an electric car that can actually, well, not self-drive, but self-assist. So you can take your hands off the wheel and it can control itself or whatever. But basically, up until recently, that wasn't a possibility. That was like science fiction. That was not possible. Whereas, through his sheer willpower of himself and his colleagues or whatever, he developed PayPal and he developed SpaceX and the Tesla and so forth. And so, if you went back to someone in the, say, 1700s or whatever, and you said, oh, this guy, he's landing a rocket, and they would not know what a rocket is as well, so you'll have to explain to them a rocket, and they'll be going, what, this is magic, this is godlike or whatever. So anyway, you then develop, say, okay, there's a rocket, so we know that there are rockets, you can set them up and that's it, and that's about it, that's all you can do with a rocket. But Elon Musk was saying, well, let's make it like Jetsons, and so you can send a rocket and it can come back, so you can reuse it and so forth, and he developed the technology and so it was possible. And so before then, people didn't think it was possible. So that gets me back to the point of saying that, we're mini gods in a sense that we have the power to, enact these things, these godlike sort of things. It's like, again, go back to medieval days, Merlin or whatever, like, it described to him that basically there'd be someone on the other side of the planet that could talk to you, and he'd be like, "What? You know, this is magic, you know." But then he'd go, "Oh, you have, you know, you talk it in their terms. You go, oh, these magic rocks that you talk into, and this other guy can hear on the other end, and that's describing a mobile phone." Yeah. And in that sense, and so he'll be thinking, those people will be thinking you're like a god, because that's not something that's possible in their reality in that sense. And again, if you go back to like, again, the pre-gunpowder era, you know, and you rock up with an AK-47 and you start firing it, they'll be thinking you're like some witch or something, you know. So again, you're showing that's just technology, but again, it's showing from certain perspectives, it's showing God-like sort of powers and abilities. But it's just, it's just explained by science or whatever that it's possible. So it's just that humans are able to harness this God-like sort of energy or whatever within themselves through the power of mind or whatever, and they're able to develop these things, actually use their imagination, something that does not exist in reality, something that's never ever existed, and make it possible. You know, like the iPad, you know, computers or whatever. It never, ever, ever, at some time in this world, never even existed. Was just a drawing on a piece of paper, an idea in a person's mind, and voila, we've got iPads, you know, we've got mobile phones, we've got the internet, you know, marvellous things. So,
well, everything comes from a thought, like everything that exists right now.
That comes from this God-like consciousness that maybe is out there that everyone...
And that's inside of you as well.
That's inside of us. And like,